The night sky over Earth looked calm, painted with stars that shone like tiny diamonds. But hidden behind that beauty was a shadow moving in silence. A massive alien ship cut through space like a dark blade. It was no ordinary ship, it was a war machine, feared in many galaxies. Inside stood the one who commanded it, a figure whose name made entire worlds tremble. The alien commander. His tall frame was covered in black, battle-worn armor that reflected no light. His face carried scars from wars fought across countless planets, and his cold eyes never showed mercy. He was not a soldier who asked questions, he was a weapon of his people. And tonight his mission was strange. He was not ordered to destroy an army or crush a human city. He was told to find and kill one single human girl. The commander looked at the glowing screen in front of him. A small picture of the girl appeared there. She looked ordinary, just a young human with gentle eyes. She sat in a meadow, smiling at something beside her. At first glance, it seemed ridiculous that the High Council would send him, the strongest of their warriors, for someone like her. But there was one detail that caught his eye. Next to the girl sat a creature, strange in shape, not like anything he had seen in human lands. Its eyes glowed with a light that made his instincts tighten. Still, he dismissed the thought. Pets, animals, humans, they were all weak. His orders were clear, and he would obey. The warship entered Earth's atmosphere. Clouds burned as it passed, but the humans below noticed nothing, thinking it was only thunder in the distance. The commander's soldiers stood ready in silence, waiting for his word. None dared to speak. They all knew his temper. A single wrong word could cost them their lives. When the ship finally landed deep in a forest, the ground shook and animals scattered into the night. The commander stepped out first. His heavy boots pressed into the soft earth, leaving marks that seemed unnatural in the quiet wilderness. The air smelled fresh, different from the toxic planets he had fought on before. It almost annoyed him, such beauty in a world humans barely deserved. His second-in-command approached carefully. "Commander," the soldier said in a low voice, "the human girl is close, beyond the trees." The commander gave only a slight nod. His sharp eyes scanned the darkness ahead. He didn't need maps or guides. He could feel life nearby. He could sense her. Without a word, he started walking, and the rest of the soldiers stayed behind. Not because he told them to, but because none of them had the courage to follow. The forest grew darker as he moved deeper. The tall trees blocked the light of the moon. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. It was too quiet, almost unnatural. The commander's every step sounded louder than it should, the crunch of dry leaves echoing like distant drums. Yet he felt something else. Presence. Something watching him. Finally, he reached a small clearing. The sight before him was almost peaceful. The girl was sitting on a fallen tree, humming a soft tune. Her voice floated into the night, calm and innocent. She looked too ordinary to be the focus of such an important mission. But what caught his attention was not her. It was the creature beside her. It was larger than he expected, its body resting on the grass like a guardian. Its strange skin seemed to shimmer faintly in the moonlight, and its eyes glowed with an intelligence no normal animal should have. As if sensing him, the creature slowly lifted its head. Its gaze locked on the commander, and in that instant, he felt something he hadn't felt in years. Resistance. The girl, unaware of the danger, kept humming. She reached out and stroked the creature's head with gentle fingers. The beast closed its eyes for a moment, calm under her touch, but never once looked away from the shadows where the commander stood. The commander's hand moved to the weapon strapped to his side. It was a blade forged from alien metal, sharp enough to slice through steel. He could end this quickly. A single strike and the girl would fall. But his instincts whispered that this would not be so simple. The wind shifted, carrying the sound of the girl's laughter. It was soft, human, and fragile, but underneath it, the creature released a low growl. It was deep, rumbling through the ground, making the leaves tremble. It was not the sound of a harmless pet. It was the warning of a predator. The commander narrowed his eyes. He had fought beasts larger than this, soldiers stronger than humans could imagine. None had survived him. Still, something about the way this creature stood beside the girl made him pause. It was not protecting her out of fear. It was protecting her out of loyalty or love. His heart did not soften, but his mind sharpened. He realized now why the leaders had chosen him. Ordinary soldiers would have failed. Something about this girl and her pet was dangerous enough to threaten their plans. The commander took one step forward, breaking a branch under his boot. The sound made the girl look up for the first time. Her eyes searched the shadows, but she could not see him. Yet her pet saw everything. Its glowing eyes burned brighter, and its body shifted as though ready to attack. The commander allowed himself a cold smile. If this creature wanted a fight, then it would meet its end like all the others. But deep inside, where he rarely listened, a faint thought stirred. Perhaps, for the first time in many years, the hunt would not be easy. The morning sun spread soft light across the small valley where the girl lived. Unlike the noisy cities filled with machines and rushing people, her home was quiet, surrounded by tall trees and streams that sparkled like glass. Birds sang above, and the wind carried the fresh smell of pine. To most, it would seem like an ordinary place, too small and too hidden to matter. Yet, for reasons no human knew, this valley had drawn the attention of powers far beyond Earth. The girl lived alone in a small wooden house, simple but warm. Her days were peaceful. She spent her mornings gathering water, tending to the small garden, and walking through the woods. At first glance, she looked like any other young human. Fragile, soft-spoken, and ordinary. But there was something different about her, something the outside world had never seen. She was never truly alone. At her side always was her strange pet. To others, it looked like an exotic animal, perhaps brought from a faraway land. Its body was sleek and strong, with skin that seemed to shift between silver and gray when the sunlight touched it. Its eyes glowed faintly, even in daylight, holding a strange intelligence that unsettled anyone who stared too long. The villagers who sometimes crossed her path whispered about it. Some called it a blessing, others a curse. They said no ordinary girl should live with such a creature. But the girl never listened to their fears. To her, it was family. She had raised it from the day she found it, a small, injured being lying half dead in the forest. While others would have run, she carried it home, cared for it, and healed its wounds. From that day forward, the creature never left her side. She gave it no ordinary name. She called it simply Guardian. Over time, she discovered things about Guardian that others could not understand, could sense her feelings. When she was afraid, it stood in front of her. When she was sad, it pressed its head against her shoulder. Sometimes she swore it understood her words better than humans did. And there were nights when she saw it stare at the stars with a longing in its eyes, as if it remembered another world. The girl's bond with Guardian was not just love. It was something deeper, something unexplainable. When she touched its silver skin, her own heart seemed to steady. She felt protected, safe, as if no force in the universe could harm her. But the girl had no idea how true that feeling was. Far beyond her valley, armies and leaders whispered her name. They believed this human child held something dangerous. Not because of her strength, but because of what followed her. Guardian was no ordinary creature. To them, it was a weapon that had chosen a human. And that was something too dangerous to ignore. The girl, however, lived without such knowledge. She spent her days in peace, unaware that an alien commander had already landed on her world, his eyes fixed on her life. That morning, she walked to the stream with Guardian by her side. She laughed as she tossed pebbles into the water, watching the ripples spread. Guardian's glowing eyes followed the stones as if studying their motion, but its ears remained alert, turning at every sound in the forest. It was always watching, always listening, even when the girl was not. She sat on the grass and leaned back against Guardian's side. "You know," she whispered, "sometimes I think you're not from here. You're too smart, too strong." Her voice carried a soft smile. "But even if you're from the stars, you're mine." Guardian made a low sound, not quite a growl, not quite a purr. The girl laughed again and closed her eyes, letting the warmth of the sun cover her. To her, this was home, this was life, simple, safe, and filled with small joys. But the forest was not as peaceful as it seemed. High in the trees, unseen eyes watched her. The commander stood hidden, his armored body blending with the shadows. He had been following her for hours, studying her movements, observing her bond with the creature. At first, he thought she was nothing special, just a weak human. But as he watched, something in her presence unsettled him. She was calm in a way most humans were not. She had no fear of the unknown beast beside her. Instead, she carried herself with quiet confidence, as if she trusted the creature more than she trusted her own kind. And the creature, Guardian, did not behave like an animal. It did not simply follow. It chose. It chose to protect her, to stay near her, to listen to her voice. That kind of loyalty could not be forced, could only be earned. The commander narrowed his eyes. This was not weakness. This was power in a form he had never seen before. And in that moment, for the first time, he understood why the leaders had sent him. The girl reached for Guardian's neck and whispered, "Let's go home." Together, they walked back toward the house, her steps light and carefree. She had no idea that death followed her like a shadow. From the trees, the commander watched in silence. His hand rested on the hilt of his weapon, but he did not move. Something in his instincts warned him. Attacking blindly could be a mistake. The hunt was not going to be as simple as he once believed. The night was thick with silence, the kind of silence that made even the wind seem afraid to move. In the shadows of the forest, the alien commander stood tall, his armor dark against the silver light of the moon. His sharp eyes were fixed on the wooden house where the girl slept, her strange pet curled beside her bed. For hours he had waited, studying, calculating. And now the mission would finally begin. The commander was not a creature of hesitation. Across galaxies, his name was feared because he never delayed, never doubted. But here something was different. Watching the girl and her pet stirred a faint unease in him. He could feel the creature's awareness even while it slept. Its body was still, but its mind was alert, as though it knew danger was near. He pressed his hand against the hilt of his weapon. It pulsed faintly, a blade powered by alien energy, able to cut through stone, steel, or flesh without effort. With such a weapon, humans were nothing more than fragile shells. The mission should have been simple. Yet, in his chest, a strange heaviness grew. He shook the thought away. No weakness, he told himself. This is only a human. Moving with the silence of a shadow, he stepped closer. His boots left no sound on the earth. His armor blended with the trees, and even the air seemed to bend around his presence. He approached the house slowly, every movement precise, controlled. His people had trained him for centuries for moments like this. Inside, the girl stirred in her sleep. A faint smile rested on her face, as if she were dreaming of something gentle. Her hand rested on the silver creature's back, fingers curled softly into its skin. The pet's glowing eyes opened without warning. They shone in the dark like twin stars, locking directly onto the commander's hidden figure outside the wall. The commander froze. Not because he feared being seen, he feared nothing, but because the creature had sensed him so quickly. No ordinary beast could do that. Its low growl rumbled through the wooden floor, vibrating into the night. The girl shifted in her bed but did not wake. The commander stepped back into the cover of the trees. He would not rush this. Instead, he circled the house, searching for weaknesses. Every angle of attack played in his mind, through the window, through the roof, through the ground itself. Each plan ended with the same thought, the creature. To kill the girl, he would first need to deal with her guardian. Far away, the commander's soldiers waited inside the ship. They whispered to one another, nervous. Why had their leader not returned yet? Why was such a simple mission taking so long? Some wondered if perhaps the human girl was more dangerous than she appeared. But none dared to say such things aloud. Back in the forest, the commander crouched on a branch high above the ground. From here, he could see the girl's house clearly. He studied her, the creature, the way the two breathed in rhythm even in sleep. It was not natural. It was a bond, strong and unbreakable. The commander felt his jaw tighten. This was why the council feared her. This was why they sent him. He decided to test the bond. Lifting his hand, he released a small orb of alien energy. It was not meant to kill, only to distract. The orb floated silently through the air, glowing faint blue, and drifted toward the window. The moment it crossed the threshold, Guardian sprang to its feet. In a single motion, the creature threw itself in front of the girl, its body glowing faintly as if made of living metal. The orb touched its skin, but instead of burning, it fizzled out and disappeared like water against stone. The commander's eyes narrowed. Interesting. This was no animal. This was something far greater. Inside the house, the girl woke with a start. Her eyes widened when she saw Guardian standing stiff and alert, glowing faintly in the moonlight. "What's wrong?" she whispered, but the creature did not move. It only growled low, its eyes never leaving the forest. She followed its gaze, but the shadows outside revealed nothing. A chill ran through her. She reached out and touched Guardian's back. "I'm here," she said softly, though her voice shook. The commander felt her words like a strange echo in his chest. He had watched countless humans face danger, and most screamed, ran, or begged. But this girl, though frightened, stayed beside her protector. There was no fear in her touch, only trust. That trust gave the creature strength. He clenched his blade tighter. He would not allow such a bond to exist. Bonds made people stronger, harder to break. And a human with strength was a threat his people could not risk. The forest seemed to grow darker as the commander leapt down from the tree. His boots landed with a thud that shook the ground. The girl gasped, her eyes snapping to the figure stepping out of the shadows. Guardian moved instantly, standing tall between her and the intruder. Its body grew brighter, silver skin rippling with strange energy, as if ready to face whatever came. The commander's cold voice broke the silence of the night. "Step aside, creature. She does not belong to this world anymore." The girl clutched Guardian's side, her heart pounding. She did not understand who he was or why he had come, but she understood one thing: he meant to kill her. Guardian's growl deepened, and the ground beneath it cracked as if the earth itself responded to its rage. The commander raised his weapon, eyes burning with determination. The deadly mission had truly begun. The night air turned heavy as the alien commander stepped into the clearing. His tall figure looked like a dark shadow against the pale glow of the moon. The blade in his hand shimmered faintly, a weapon that had ended countless lives across galaxies. Yet, standing between him and his target was the creature Guardian. Its silver body glowed brighter with each breath, and its eyes blazed like living fire. The girl clutched Guardian's side, her small hands trembling, but she did not move away. Fear pressed against her chest, but her trust in her companion was stronger. She whispered softly, "I'm not leaving you." Guardian's head tilted for a moment, as though it understood, before it turned its gaze back to the intruder. The commander raised his weapon, his voice calm but sharp. "You think this beast can stop me? I have broken armies. I have burned worlds. A pet will not change your fate." But as his words faded, the forest itself seemed to respond to Guardian's presence. The wind stirred violently, shaking the trees. Leaves swirled in circles, and the earth beneath the creature cracked slightly, sending faint vibrations into the ground. The commander narrowed his eyes. This was no mere display, it was power. Real, raw, and dangerous. In one swift move, the commander lunged forward. His blade sliced through the air, glowing with alien energy. It was fast, faster than any human eye could follow. But Guardian moved faster. Its body shifted like liquid steel, intercepting the blade before it could reach the girl. The clash sent a shockwave through the clearing, snapping branches and scattering leaves. Sparks flew as alien metal met the living armor of the creature. The commander staggered back a single step, surprised. He had expected the beast to fall instantly, but instead, it stood firm, unharmed. Guardian released a deep, thunderous growl that echoed through the forest, a sound that carried both warning and promise. Then, in a blur of motion, Guardian attacked. Its body moved like flowing light, leaping toward the commander with speed beyond reason. Its claws, glowing faintly, tore across his chest plate, leaving deep scars and armor that no weapon had ever marked before. The commander grunted, his eyes widening for the first time in years. His armor had survived plasma cannons, yet this creature had pierced it with raw strength. The girl gasped as she saw her companion's true power unleashed. She had always known Guardian was special, but never like this. It was more than a protector. It was a force. The commander steadied himself, anger boiling in his veins. "You dare challenge me?" His voice roared like thunder. He swung his blade again, this time with full strength, aiming to end the fight quickly. Guardian twisted its body, moving with unnatural grace, dodging the strike. Its tail, glowing with the same silver light, whipped around and struck the commander, sending him crashing into a tree. The impact split the trunk in half, the wood snapping like dry bones. For a moment, the forest fell silent again. The girl's eyes widened. She had never seen such violence, never imagined Guardian could fight like this. Yet her heart pounded with both fear and awe. The commander rose slowly from the broken tree. His armor cracked but his will unshaken. His cold eyes burned with fury. He realized now that this mission was no simple hunt. This was a battle against something far beyond ordinary. Still, he would not retreat. He never had, and he never would. Guardian stepped forward, placing itself between the girl and the commander once more. Its body shimmered brighter, energy flowing across its skin like liquid light. Each step it took shook the ground faintly, as if the earth itself recognized its strength. The girl whispered again, her voice barely audible. "Guardian, please be careful." The creature's ears flicked, acknowledging her, but its eyes never left the enemy. The commander gripped his blade tighter. His pride demanded victory. His people expected nothing less. But deep inside, he felt something unfamiliar, a hint of doubt. With a sudden roar, he charged again, striking with a storm of blows. Each swing of his blade could have split mountains, but Guardian blocked them all. Sparks filled the clearing, lighting the night like fire. The girl covered her ears as the sound of clashing power echoed, louder than thunder. Finally, Guardian struck back. Its claws met the commander's weapon, and for a brief second, time seemed to freeze. Then, with a crack that shook the air, the alien blade shattered into fragments, glowing pieces falling to the ground like dying stars. The commander stared at the broken hilt in his hand, disbelief flashing across his face. His weapon, forged with the strongest metals of his people, was gone, destroyed by a creature he had dismissed as a pet. Guardian growled again, lowering itself slightly, ready to strike once more. Its eyes glowed brighter than ever, filled with a promise. No harm would come to the girl as long as it still breathed. The girl, standing behind her protector, looked at the commander with wide eyes. For the first time, she understood why Guardian had come into her life. It was never just an animal. It was something greater, something that had chosen her for reasons she could not yet understand. The commander's pride burned inside him. He could not accept defeat. But as he stared at the glowing beast, he realized he was no longer the hunter. He was the prey, and the battle was far from over. The clearing had turned into a battlefield. Broken pieces of the commander's blade still glowed faintly on the ground, scattered like fallen stars. The air was thick with tension, heavy enough to make every breath feel like a burden. On one side stood the alien commander, his black armor cracked, his pride burning hotter than fire. On the other side stood Guardian, silver body shining with an otherworldly light, its eyes locked on the enemy. Between them, the girl stood quietly, her hands trembling but her spirit unbroken. The commander clenched his fists. He had never faced such humiliation. Across galaxies, he was known as the bringer of death, the destroyer of armies. No one had ever dared stand against him, let alone a creature humans called a pet. His weapon was gone, his armor damaged, yet his fury only grew stronger. "You will regret this," he growled, his voice deep enough to make the trees shake. Guardian's response was simple, a low rumble that grew into a roar. Its body arched, glowing brighter, each breath releasing a pulse of energy into the ground. Cracks spread across the soil, and the trees around them bent as if bowing to the force. The girl stepped back slightly, shielding her eyes from the intense glow, but she refused to leave. Her bond with Guardian held her there, stronger than her fear. The commander charged first. Without his blade, he fought with raw strength, his armored fists swinging like hammers. Each strike could shatter stone, and when they hit the ground, the earth shook violently. Guardian moved swiftly, dodging some blows and blocking others with its shimmering body. Sparks burst into the air with every clash, filling the night with blinding flashes of silver and red. The girl watched in awe and terror. To her, it looked like two forces of nature colliding, the cold power of destruction against the fierce will of protection. Her heart raced with every strike, every roar, every crash of power. At one moment, the commander grabbed Guardian by the throat, lifting it high into the air. His armor groaned under the strain of the creature's struggling body, but his grip was firm. He sneered, "You think you are strong? I have killed beasts larger than mountains." With a roar, he slammed Guardian into the ground, shaking the earth beneath them. The girl cried out, running forward, "Guardian!" Her voice carried desperation, but before she could reach, Guardian's body rippled with energy. In an instant, it sprang back to its feet, unharmed, its eyes blazing with fury. The glow around its body intensified, forming faint patterns across its skin like ancient runes awakening. The commander stepped back in shock. He had expected the creature to break. Instead, it looked stronger, faster, deadlier. Guardian leapt forward, claws slashing through the air. The strikes landed across the commander's chest and arms, sparks flying as armor tore apart piece by piece. The fight raged on. Trees split in half from the shockwaves, stones shattered like glass, and the very ground was torn apart. To any watching from afar, it would have looked like a storm had fallen into the forest, tearing everything in its path. The girl stood at the edge of the chaos, her eyes wide but her body unmoving. She knew leaving Guardian's side would mean betrayal. Even if fear clawed at her heart, she would not abandon it. She whispered softly, "Please win. Please, come back to me." Her voice reached Guardian in ways no alien could understand. The creature roared louder, its attacks becoming sharper, its movements faster. The bond between them gave it strength far beyond its own limits. The commander staggered, his breath heavy. His once perfect armor now hung in ruins, glowing cracks spreading across it. His pride screamed at him to keep fighting, but his instincts whispered a truth he didn't want to accept. This was no ordinary battle. He wasn't fighting a beast. He was fighting something that carried both human spirit and alien power. Guardian lunged again, pinning the commander against a shattered tree. Its claws pressed close to his throat, glowing with unstoppable energy. For the first time in centuries, the commander felt something he had forgotten: fear. His mind raced. He had fought endless wars, faced machines, monsters, and warriors, but none had ever brought him this close to defeat. The girl stepped forward cautiously, her eyes fixed on the commander. She could see his fury, his pride, and beneath it, his weakness. She didn't speak to him. Her voice was meant only for Guardian. "It's enough. Don't lose yourself. You've already won." Guardian's growl softened slightly, though its claws stayed firm. The commander's eyes widened. He realized it was not just the creature's strength that had defeated him. It was the girl, her bond, her calm voice, her trust. Those things had turned this pet into a force he could not overcome. The forest around them lay in ruins, but the battle's outcome was clear. One world of conquest and cruelty had met another world of loyalty and love. And in that clash, power alone had not won. Something greater had. The commander gasped for breath. His pride shattered as much as his armor. Guardian's eyes blazed, waiting for one signal from the girl to end it all. The girl hesitated, torn between mercy and fear. She knew this choice would change everything. And as the night wind whispered through the broken trees, The clash of two worlds hung in silence, waiting for her answer. The forest was quiet for the first time since the battle began, but it was not the peace of safety. It was the silence of something waiting to end. Broken trees leaned against one another like wounded giants. The earth was cracked and scorched, and smoke rose faintly from the ground. In the middle of this destruction, the alien commander struggled to breathe. His armor was torn, his blade shattered, and his pride, once stronger than steel, was crumbling. Pinned against a fallen tree, he glared at the silver beast before him. Guardian's glowing claws pressed close to his throat, its eyes shining with unbreakable will. The girl stood just a few steps behind, her face pale, her hands shaking, but her voice steady as she whispered to her companion, "I'm here. I'm not leaving you." The commander's chest rose and fell heavily. He tried to laugh, but the sound came out broken, bitter. "You, a human child, you have undone me." His voice carried disbelief, anger, and something deeper, fear. Guardian growled low, its body glowing brighter as if ready to finish the fight. The commander met its gaze and, for the first time in his long life, felt powerless. His people had told him humans were weak, nothing more than animals in fragile skin. Yet here, in the heart of this forest, one human girl and her pet had done what armies could not. The girl stepped closer, her eyes fixed on the commander. She had no weapons, no armor, and no strength like the alien. But when she spoke, her words carried more weight than any blade. "You came here to kill me. Why?" The commander's lips curled. He wanted to remain silent, to keep his pride intact. But the weight of defeat broke through his walls. "Because you are dangerous," he rasped. "Not for what you are, but for what follows you." His eyes flicked to Guardian. That creature, it should not exist beside a human. Power like this, loyalty like this, it will change everything. My people fear it. They fear you. The girl's heart raced. She looked at Guardian, whose glowing eyes never left the commander. She had always known her companion was different, but never thought it could frighten beings from the stars. Her voice softened. "Guardian isn't a weapon. It's my friend." The commander let out a hollow laugh, though his strength was fading fast. Friendship? Loyalty? Such things are illusions. In the end, power decides who survives. But even as he said it, his words felt empty. He had seen with his own eyes how the bond between the girl and the creature had turned weakness into strength. No soldier, no machine, no weapon had ever fought him with such force. And none had ever fought him with love at their core. Guardian pressed its claws deeper, forcing the commander to wince. The girl placed a hand on the creature's side, whispering, "Enough. You've done what you needed to do." The glow in Guardian's body softened slightly, though its growl never fully stopped. It understood her voice, her calm, pulled back just a little, giving the commander space to breathe. The commander looked at her, disbelief flooding his face. "You spare me? After I came to end your life?" The girl swallowed hard. Her fear was real, but her choice was firm. "Killing you won't change who I am. Guardian fought to protect me, not to destroy you." For a long moment, the commander stared at her. In his long career, he had seen countless warriors, kings, and leaders. They all chose blood. They all chose conquest. But here stood a human child, showing mercy where others would show hate. And that mercy cut deeper than Guardian's claws ever could. His knees buckled, and he sank to the ground, broken in both body and spirit. "I was a fool," he whispered. "We thought humans were weak. We thought your world was nothing. But now I see. It is not your strength that makes you dangerous. It is what lives inside you." The girl didn't answer. She simply placed her hand on Guardian, and the creature lowered its glowing head beside her, calm once again. Together, they looked at the once mighty commander, now kneeling in the dirt. The commander closed his eyes, for the first time not in battle but in surrender. His mind flashed with memories of the countless worlds he had conquered, the countless lives he had ended. And now, at the hands of a child and her protector, he felt something he had never allowed himself to feel before: regret. His voice, weak but clear, carried into the night. Perhaps this is how it was meant to end. Not by war, not by victory, but by being shown that even the strongest can fall to something they cannot understand. His body slumped forward, the glow of his armor fading completely. The silence that followed was heavy, yet somehow lighter than before. The threat was gone. The forest seemed to exhale, the wind returning to move through the broken trees. The girl knelt beside Guardian, wrapping her arms around its silver body. "It's over," she whispered, tears filling her eyes. Guardian lowered its head against her, a soft hum rising from its chest, like the sound of comfort. But in the distance, far beyond the forest, the girl knew others would come. The commander's fall was not the end. It was only the beginning of something greater. His people would not ignore his death. They would ask questions. And when they learned the truth, that their greatest warrior had fallen to a girl and her protector, they would come for her. Yet, for now, in the silence of the forest, the girl and Guardian stood together victorious. The commander had fallen, but the real war had only just begun. The forest lay in ruins, but inside that ruin was silence. A silence that carried both victory and warning. The alien commander's broken armor rested against the shattered trees, his lifeless body heavy in the dirt. His once feared presence was no more. Yet the girl and Guardian knew this was not the true end. It was only the beginning of something greater, something far more dangerous. The girl stood quietly beside Guardian. The night's battle had shaken her, but her spirit remained steady. She placed a hand on Guardian's glowing skin, whispering softly, "We're still here, we survived." The creature lowered its head, releasing a hum that felt like both comfort and promise. In its eyes burned loyalty deeper than any vow spoken in words. But far above the earth, hidden in the cold void of space, the commander's warship remained. His soldiers had seen everything through their screens, their leaders fall, and the creature's power. Whispers spread among them, fear sharper than any blade. How can one girl and one beast destroy the greatest commander in our history? One muttered. Another answered, "If the council learns of this, they will not forgive us." Yet none of them dared descend to challenge the creature. They had watched enough. They knew if the commander could not survive, they had no chance. Quietly, the ship pulled away, vanishing into the endless stars. But the story of what happened would not vanish. It would spread. Back on Earth, the girl returned to her small wooden house with Guardian walking beside her. Every step she took felt heavier than before. She had never asked for this fight, never wished to be the center of such danger. All she had wanted was peace, a life with her strange companion. But now she understood peace would no longer be simple. As dawn rose, the sunlight touched Guardian's silver body, making it glow like molten metal. The girl sat on the porch, staring at the horizon. "Why me?" she whispered. "Why did you choose me?" Guardian tilted its head, eyes soft, as if it understood her question but carried no words to answer. Instead, it pressed close to her side, reminding her she was never alone. In the days that followed, strange things began to happen. Animals that usually fled from humans now lingered near the house. Birds perched on the roof watching silently. The forest, once ordinary, felt alive, almost protective. It was as if Guardian's presence had changed everything around it. The girl began to realize that her bond with the creature was not just personal. It was connected to something greater, something the universe itself responded to. Meanwhile, whispers spread among humans too. Travelers who wandered close to the valley spoke of strange lights in the night, of roars that shook the ground, of a girl who lived with a creature not of this world. Some called it a myth, others a miracle. Slowly, the story began to travel farther than the valley, reaching villages and towns, then beyond. But the girl kept her life simple. She tended her garden, gathered water, and shared quiet meals with Guardian. Yet deep inside, she knew the silence would not last. The commander's people would not forget. They would send more. And each time they came, they would learn again what it meant to face loyalty stronger than steel. One evening, As the sky turned red with sunset, the girl stood on a hill with Guardian at her side. She looked at the horizon, imagining the stars beyond, the worlds where the commander's people lived, and the fear her name might now bring them. She was no warrior, no queen, no soldier. She was only a girl. But with Guardian beside her, she was something more. She whispered, almost to herself, "If they come again, we'll be ready." Guardian growled low, its glowing eyes fixed on the distant stars, as if it already knew enemies watched from afar. And so, Earth gained a protector no one had expected. Not an army, not a weapon, but a bond between a girl and a creature who had chosen her. Together, they had defeated the strongest of invaders. Together, they would face whatever came next. Far away in the galaxy, news of the commander's fall spread like wildfire. To some alien races, it was unthinkable. To others, it was a sign, a warning that humanity, once dismissed as weak, was far from defenseless. Whispers began. If one girl and one creature could destroy him, what else might humanity be hiding? For the girl, none of this mattered. She did not seek to be a symbol or a legend. She only knew one truth. Guardian had chosen her, and she would never let go of that bond. That night, under the stars, she sat on the grass with Guardian lying beside her. She leaned against its glowing body, her eyes closing as the forest hummed with quiet life around them. For the first time since the battle, she allowed herself to rest. Above them, the stars shone brighter than usual, as though the universe itself was watching. Somewhere out there, others would plan, others would fear, others would prepare. But here, in this quiet valley, a girl and her guardian stood as humanity's secret protector. Unseen, unacknowledged, but ready. The alien commander had fallen, but his fall had awakened something far greater, and the galaxy would never be the same again.